Hey folks, welcome to Atomic Game Theory. This is a show all about diving into board games, talking about some of the math secrets behind them, the game design, and most specifically, of course, the game theory, which is my favorite thing in the world. Is that true? That's pretty true. My name is Richard. During this whole thing, this is like game school is what I'm calling it, so if you have any questions about some of the things going on, some of the things you hear on screen, some of the problems and properties we're talking about, feel free to, while we're here, send a message into the Twitch chat or send me a tweet at Armelina and I will be able to check it out there and hopefully get back to us before the end of the show. Alright, let's get into it, because today what I have for you are two of my favorite games. Of all time? Of all time, maybe. At least one of them is. The other one is an interesting reimagining of that game. And the game I have for us today is one I have played for many, many years. Shadows Over Camelot by Days of Wonder. Let me find the perfect glare moment. There we go. Shadows Over Camelot is from Days of Wonder. It is maybe one of the first fully cooperative games that I've ever played. And I say fully because it's not. There's a trader mechanic, and we'll get into it. We'll talk about it. But this game really did a lot to change how I thought about what a game could be in a lot of ways. Many games are, a pretty consistent flow, if you will. Like, there is a thing you're supposed to be doing, right? If we're playing Puerto Rico, your goal is to gather victory points, and you're going to do it through either shipping, or you're going to do it through gathering resources. You're going to get it through, just building a victory point engine of some kind. There's a lot of games that are very similar to that. Shadows Over Camelot is not. I suppose in a sense it is. It's about gathering swords and making sure your swords reflect the goodness of the Court of Camelot. But in a lot of ways, it's very different. So what I want to do today is take a look at that game, think about some of the problems and properties that it brings up, and think about how we can apply those. Game theory is all about conflict, right? And so what I want to do is show this game as an example of how we can, in fact, learn about conflict in, the world around us by studying a game. That's what game theory is supposed to be about. So, in order to do that, let's shift over so that I can show you the game board. Ooh, here we go. Oh my gosh. So, first of all, what you're seeing in front of you right here, this is Shadows Over Camelot. It is a bonkers board. There is a ton of stuff going on right here, and it's Hey Jonathan, just saw you in the Twitch chat. Good to see you. This game, Shadows Over Camelot, is a very complicated sort of thing. I think. When you look at it, you're like, what the heck is going on? There's all these actual board cards kind of drawn into it. There's all these different regions of the board, and it's a little complicated. And so what happens in this game is that you play one of the many knights. Ooh, how do I do it this way? Sir Tristan the Knight. Sir Percival the Knight. There's a whole bunch of knights. You're a Knight of the Round Table. And you get your card sheets, which thankfully tells you pretty much everything you need to know about the game. There's the game turn right here. There's a little spot for your life points, a dashing picture of some sort of knight, and some things that if you gain some special powers during the game, I don't know how close I can get, if that's going to focus in or not. But it is a pretty good guide, and I wish more games, honestly, had this sort of thing for all their players, because it makes it very clear what the heck you're supposed to be doing at any time. So, you take your knights, and you also get this super cool miniature to go with it, and you place it on the board on these kind of locations right here. There are these fancy circles with a knight on them. Over here, there's only one. Over here, there's 7 of them. They're kind of quiet. They're kind of tucked in there. You can also, of course, be at the round table itself, at Camelot. And this board looks complicated enough. There's also this ridiculous, over here, these grails, and they get farther and farther into decay the farther you go. There's also a separate board for Excalibur. There's a separate board for Lancelot, and after that you have to fight a dragon. And all of these are all over the board, and they're all locations that your knight could go to in order to play this game. We haven't even talked about how to play this game, but there are enough quests in this game that this game needs a book of quests to go with it just to tell you what all the quests mean and what they do. Whew. Okay, so what are you doing? What are you doing in this game? Why is this so cool? Why is it very worth it? It's very worth it. Because you are going to try and save the kingdom. This represents the time in Camelot when everything goes bad. And so, what do we have? We have the Black Knight, who is just hanging out in front of Camelot being like, come fight me, or debate me? Maybe he's saying debate me, I don't know. In front of that, there is the field in front of Camelot, which will over time be filled with siege engines that you must destroy. If Camelot ever comes fully under siege, you immediately lose the game, and that's bad. We, of course, have the Round Table, which represents our knights' place to prepare for the world and then go out to face these quests. We have the Picts and the Saxons that are both invading at the same time. Cool. Nice. Handy. We have the Grail, and I know this board isn't easy to see from here, but you can see that it starts out a bright, shiny Grail, and then it starts to get darker and darker and more decayed as it goes, and there are 7 of these spaces. You are trying to save the Grail. That's one of the things that you could be doing. You could also, of course, be trying to save Excalibur, to bring Excalibur home. It's kind of in the lake at the moment, I think is the deal here. There's also poor Sir Lancelot, who is not one of the knights in this game, but his armor is left. Of course, Lancelot is, the treasonous knight who led to this whole thing, right? We'll be facing Mordred soon enough. And we have to go get his armor, because his armor was pretty cool. Apparently. And on the back, once we've dealt with Lancelot's armor, there's going to be a dragon showing up as well. As the Knights of the Round Table, we are supposed to go out and face these combats, as many of them as we can, and try to win. And it's a tough one. This is a tricky game. The way the game works is, you can see there are these inset cards here on the board, and they tell you what you're supposed to do. So, number 1, during these invasions over here, we have a straight, kind of hard to see, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're going to have these white cards, and there aren't that many types of them, but you will see that some of them have, give me a couple of them, these fight cards, and these fight cards have little numbers on them, like 2 and 5, and 1 through 5. They're all 1 through 5. And you want to gather them, and you want to be able to place them on this board in order in a straight. And so on your turn, you get to do, let's see, you get to choose one action, which might be to move out to a quest, or to play one card on one of these locations. Some of these locations, like the Invasions and the Dragon is another one, Excalibur and the Grail, these are all locations where your whole team can show up and try this out. So if I have a 1, I might move over there first, play my 1 on my next turn. You, having a 2, will come and join me. And hey, if I have all the odds, that's fantastic. And if you have all the evens, we're going to knock this thing out in just a few rounds. Every time you successfully complete a quest, the board lists what you're supposed to get. Alright? Now this is like you heal a little bit, because you have these like life diet, which you can die in this game. It's that brutal. You also gain more cards. It's one of the only ways to get more cards is to actually complete quests. You don't get an infinite amount of them or anything, and you're definitely not drawing one on your turn. You also get a white sword. Swords are how you win this game. This game comes with so many swords. They're all double-sided. On one side, light, and on the other side, darkness. Oh no. If you fail at quests, darkness comes to the Round Table. I gotta get these cards out of the way. If you succeed at quests, then light comes to the Round Table. The game ends when there are 12 swords on this table, or more. You could get more than 12, kind of on the last round there. If more of them are white, you win the game. If it is half and half or worse, you lose the game. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward about victory, but getting there takes a while. And these swords are a great indicator. That's one of the coolest mechanics, is just this very, very simple, like, how do I know if we're winning or not? Oh, we're losing now. Oh, we're winning. Cool. Awesome. It does mean you can lose a couple quests and you're fine, and the game accepts and allows for that. So you're trying to gather these. You only start with a few cards, and you might be able to talk to your other players about what you should do. There are a couple other cards on here. There are Grail cards. Oh, I'll put them up here. Grail! Grail, you just have to at any point on those 7 spaces, the whole track needs to be filled with these cards. If you and your friends can do that pretty quick, then you get the Grail. And the Grail gives you abilities in the game, which like I said, are listed on your player card. Where am I going to put it? Right there. If you have the Holy Grail, one time, as a knight dies, you can be like, nope, you get 4 life and we're good. You're back to normal. Very handy, especially in the late game here. Oh, wow. So much damage. When you fail quests and you are at the quest location, you take damage. So if you are trying to battle the Saxons up here and they win before you are able to complete your straight, we'll talk about how they win. A black sword comes to the table and you are wounded. So it kind of sucks if you are out there trying to complete one of these quests and they collapse on you before you can do so. So it's a pretty complex game already, right? A lot of moving parts, you're trying to do all these things. There are a ton of wheels built into this game so that all of these quests are advancing all the time. And the way we know that is by the Progression of Evil deck, which is a fantastic name for a deck of cards. What happens here is, on your turn, before you get to do anything, you're going to draw one of these cards. And they can be all sorts of things. I'm going to just grab a Black Knight 1 card here. Pretty straightforward card, right? It's a 1. That's it. It's a pretty weak card. They go up to 5 there. And what you're going to do when you draw this card is you can't show it to anybody. Alright? Because we're about to get to one of the most important rules of this game. You can't show it to anybody, and at the bottom of it, it says, if you play it, whoops, there we go, face down, draw 1 white card. Okay? So cards are rare. Cards are a big resource in this game. And if you take this card and play it face down, what you're going to do is put it right here. And you'll see there are 4 spaces on the board. If those 4 fill up, this quest is going to end, and we are going to find out who wins the quest. Hi, Marzipan. How's it going? Good? Alright. It's either going to be the Knights, or it's going to be you, the Knights of Camelot, right? Sorry, the Black Knight or the Knights. The way that's going to work is you're going to reveal all the cards that have been played. Over here, it's hard to see. There's an A, and an A, and a B, and a B. I'm trying to get 2 pair over here, of any kind. I just need 2 pair before these 4 cards show up. That'll at least maximize my chances. At the end of the round, once we reveal all these cards, if my cards are a higher total value than the Black Knight's cards, I win. I win this one, which is great, because I get my victory points, which is more white cards, allows me to do more quests, more stuff going on, right? Now, if I put this card face down and I'm out there dueling, no problem. I gain a white card that is helpful for me, and why wouldn't I do that? I also have the opportunity to put this card face up. And say, I guess I'll turn it this way. And say, look, everybody, there's a 5 right there. There's a 5 right there. Be careful if you're going to go try and fight the Black Knight. You need some big pairs. Why would I want to do that? Because a major component of this game, a major component, this is in the rules, this is true, you cannot break this rule, otherwise the game is really boring. You can never tell people what cards you have in your hand. Ever. You can say what kind of cards, like, for example, I could say, I have some fight cards, and I think I could take care of that 2 pair over there, and I feel like my chances are pretty good. And that's about it. I'm not allowed to say that in my hand I have a 1, 2, 3, and a 5. I need someone with a 4 to help me out with this straight. That is against the rules. You cannot do it. Please don't do it. Otherwise the game would be too easy. It'd be playing like a game like Hanabi, except everyone can see all your fireworks all the time. It's the easiest game in the world. This game is built upon a trust that everyone has that no one is going to break these communication rules. That you're going to try and figure out how to play this game without, I don't know, without all the knowledge possible, which is, I guess, supposed to represent what the Knights of Camelot are all about, right? So they don't know everything all the time. Checking some notes real quick, but we're good. What else do we got? What else do we got here? The Black Knight is a really important one because you'll notice there's only 1 spot. Only 1 knight can battle the Black Knight. This is a duel. This is a joust. You're on it. It's just you and them. Can you play 2 pair before they get 4 pair? Yes or no. You either take the hit or you gain some hit points, you gain some cards, you succeed. Every time a quest ends, you are sent back to the round table, so you can resupply if you need to. And the Black Knight just comes back. Like these invaders, they just keep invading. This whole board is super static, and it just all keeps happening. There's no way to stop managing these events. They just continue. This game can go up to 7 players, and if I count real quick, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different quests available all the time. Yeah. So it's really, really difficult to spread your resources out to try and succeed at everything. They know it's not possible. This game is designed so that you can't win everything. You have to decide, you have to make choices about what you want to do. One mechanic that they have which helps with that is this black evil deck. And as you go through it, there are plenty of cards. There's, so many cards, oh my gosh. There are, like I said, there are fight cards, and fight cards help our Black Knight over there. There are Excalibur cards. Excalibur cards just say, hello, hello, evil. What's this one? This is Move Excalibur. That's all it is. I'm thinking about the Black Knight in my head all the time. The Black Knight's not responsible for all the things that are going on. The Black Knight's just hanging out here waiting for a duel. The Excalibur card will send Excalibur one step towards the farther shore, where maybe Mordred picks it up. I don't really know. There's also Despair cards. We had those Grail cards earlier. Despair cards get filled up on the spaces as well. If the Grail board is ever totally filled, all 7 spaces, with Despair cards, then the Grail is lost forever, and that quest actually does end. And it's a big penalty if you fail that one, so don't screw it up. As you're playing your Grail cards, too, they balance. Like, once you get to the line where it's like 4 versus 3, every time you play a Grail card, it just removes a Despair card from that map, and so it takes a long time to kind of battle through it. It's really... It seems like it should be a lot easier than it is. That makes sense? That was like a sentence. Once you get out there, you're going to be like, I've got this. I've got like 7 Grail cards, I'm set. But you actually need more, like, I don't know, 15. If you go to Excalibur, all you have to do is discard any one of the cards you want from your hand, any white card. You just throw it into the river and Excalibur comes a little bit closer. And again, Excalibur gives you cool bonuses. It's a very important thing. There's also Lancelot and the Dragon cards, and they will just go ahead and add some fights, depending on whether Lancelot or the Dragon is in the game at any moment. There are also a few cards, like the Picts and the Saxons, the Mercenaries. You get some choices about what there are. There are also cards for, of course, Morgan Le Fay. Master of Disaster, right there. And these cards are all unique, and they all do something different, and they're all powerful, and they're bad. They're real bad. They can really, really lead to some major chaos in this game. And so, this deck is totally random. We don't know what's going to be happening. Maybe Excalibur gets pushed back super fast, and we just aren't able to deal with it. Or maybe we get invasions just constantly while we're trying to deal with these heavier quests over here. And we have to decide what we're going to do. We have to react. And worst of all, sure. If, at any moment, there is no knight at a quest, and there are cards there, all those cards are discarded. You can't save your state and come back later. So, if I get here, and I have a 1, 2, 3, I need someone to come by with 4 and 5, I can't leave until they do. I can't leave until someone is ready to finish this quest. If I'm at the Black Knight, and I don't have 2 pair, I can't finish this quest. I'm hanging out until all 4 of these cards come down and just hoping my cards are higher values. Which is nice. Maybe I play a 5 and a 5 and a 5, and I've got 15, and that seems good. It seems like I can beat that Black Knight. But unless that quest ends, I'm stuck. If I leave, all my cards are discarded. Okay. We're almost getting into, like, the crazy stuff about this game, because there's more. There's more. You thought that was it? No, no. Let's talk about 2 major important things, and then let's make this game the worst thing possible. Oh, first of all, look at, there's these little tiny tokens here. You get little miniatures for getting the Grail or Lancelot's armor or Excalibur. That's all pretty cool stuff. I like that. Game's got lots of miniatures if you're ever thinking about getting this game. It also has all these siege catapults. Ooh, there we go. They're very cool. You get to place them all around the board and try to defeat them with a D8. Sucks. Totally sucks. It's hard to do. Okay, so what else do we got? What else? There's more. 2 characters. Well, one character that is very important in this game is Sir Percival. Percival's ability. Can I get all the way up there? Special power. Some of these are pretty weak, but Sir Percival's is very good. Oh, I don't like that. Sorry about that focusing. During the progression of evil, you may peek at the top black card on your turn and your turn only. Look at it, and then decide whether to draw it or select another evil action. There are things you can do besides drawing these terrible cards, and they are these. You can just say, no, I'm going to take a damage instead of drawing a card. That can be super useful, especially if you're trying to complete a quest and you don't want it to go, like you want to stop the Grail, you're about to finish the Grail, that's a really, really big one. And so you start taking damage instead of drawing cards. But if you can't defeat it on your turn, everybody else has to make that choice too, right? So that's kind of tricky, kind of a big sacrifice for everybody, especially if they're not on the space and they're not going to gain those hit points when you complete that quest. What else? You can also just take a siege engine and place it on Camelot. This is one of the big ways the game can end. If there are ever 12 here, you lose. Done. That's it. Pretty harsh. What else? What else? So, that doesn't say discard this card. It says, take a look at it. Only you can look at it. But you take a look at it and then decide whether to put it back on top and try something different or not. Alright, so that's a really interesting way to tell everybody that card's terrible. That's a nightmare. No one touch that card until we finished a thing. And that's all legal information. That is okay. I cannot flip this card up and go like, oh, it's a 5 Black Knight, everybody be scared. I could say things like, this is going to mess up the Excalibur quest. How about we go to the Excalibur quest? Even when you discard cards in this game, you have to do it face down. All that stuff is important. It's trying to hide the stuff you have in your hands in the game. The last thing I want to talk about before I get into the big brain bender in this game, and the reason I like it so much, is Lancelot's Quest. Lancelot's Quest is a full house versus 5 cards. You have to get 3 of a kind and 2 of a kind to end this early, or beat Lancelot's 5-card spread. This only happens once, and then it flips to the dragon, and the dragon is just a big nasty quest you have to fight over and over again. Lancelot's Quest happens one time, and if you win it, you get Lancelot's armor. Only one knight can attempt this quest. Whew. So Lancelot's armor better be pretty good. And it is. It's very good. It's listed on all the player cards. Again, it says, anytime you must draw 1 black card, draw 2 instead. Play one of them and place the other back under the black draw pile. So it goes right on the bottom of the deck. It's just going to be out of the game. You know, even when you shuffle the discard back in, which happens a couple times, I don't know. It just feels out of play. It's really, really great and can allow you to get rid of some very, very nasty cards. And so, of course, you want to do that. You want to do that as soon as possible. You want to send someone on Lancelot's Quest, retrieve Lancelot's armor from across the bridge. It's a scary bridge, I guess. And as quickly as you can. If Percival does it. Okay. Percival's ability is you may peek at the top black card before deciding whether to draw it or select another evil action. You can do both of those things. So you can peek at it, decide, nope, let's not do that. Or, like, okay, I'm going to draw it, but I have Lancelot's armor, so I'm also going to draw another one, and then put this terrible one under the deck. Like, it gives you this perfect ability to cycle through terrible cards, at least on your turn. And I mean, everybody else is doing their own thing and whatever, but you have this perfect chance to help them out. Whew. Are we ready? Are we ready to get into the worst thing? Oh, just checking some notes real quick. I do want to put this up on YouTube, which I plan to do this time for sure. I think the lighting is a lot better than last week. But at the same time, this is kind of a live show. I want to get your questions if you got them. So feel free to drop them into chat or Twitter, like I said. This is a big game. And yes, Marzipan Jonathan is around here somewhere. I think she's given up on trying to get on camera, which is too bad. It would have been fun. She could have run around up here. It would have been great. All right. Let's do it. Let's talk about the big thing in this game that we have not discussed yet, which, whew, my favorite. Where? There. Loyalty. The start of the game. Every one of the knights has to draw a loyalty card. And one of these things is not like the other. There is a potential traitor in this game. Like it's not hard enough. Like there's not enough stuff going on. It's easy to lose this game even without a traitor. And yet, they put a traitor into the game. How does the traitor win the game? Your objective is to do one of two things. Kill all the other knights. And let's face it, that's hard. Just let that go. End the game with 7 black swords on the table. Or get 12 siege engines out here. Okay, alright. So, force the other players to lose the game in one of the game-losing conditions. Easy, no big deal, no problem. You get a bunch of loyalty cards at the start of the game equal to the number of players plus 1. It is possible there is no traitor in the game. However, in order to find out whether there is a traitor, all players get a new action, which is called Accuse. As your action, you can accuse another player of potentially being a traitor. If you are successful, you add 1 white sword to the table. Nice work. However, if you fail, take 1 white sword that is already on the table and flip it to black, which is one of the worst things that can happen in this game. I've played plenty of games where we are very close on this. It's like 7-5, and flipping 1 sword means it's 50-50, and 50-50 is a loss for the heroes. So, you need to be really, really careful with your accusation. But at least we get to see your loyalty card after that, and then everything's fine, right? Right? It's great. If the traitor makes it to the end of the game, and they are not detected, they get to look at this board, pick any 2 white swords they want to, because, you know, it's an evil move, so pick the one close to you, I don't know. Flip 2 of them over, and that is deadly. That is a game loss right there for the heroes. I have not seen... Well, I don't often see the traitor get to the end of the game, that's for sure, but that is a losing condition. Heroes do not win. You have to be so far ahead, and that can be really, really tricky. Or at least you gotta get really lucky. So... The traitor. This is one of my favorite games to be a traitor in, let me tell you, because you have so many options about what to do. The game has made secrecy really important, so you never have to tell anyone what's in your hand. Not at all. Excalibur, that quest is all about discarding cards to draw Excalibur ever closer to you, right? Pretty fantastic. So if you have the best cards in the game, if you've got a bunch of 5s, if you've got the cards everybody needs, just discard them, just get rid of them. There are some cards in the game that let you, like, pass cards among your friends and things like that. Never do that. Just do the worst things. Give someone exactly what they don't need whenever possible. So this is a great one for you to be like, hey, I'm helping. You know, kind of. No one can say you're not. The Grail quest is very, very similar. You're out there, you're fighting against this, like, inexorable force. It just keeps swinging back and forth, back and forth. Oh, sorry for the bounce. And it's very, very difficult to tell that you're doing something wrong, even though you're not succeeding at anything for a long time. So it's this very interesting, tenuous condition that you get to be in. You can surely help people fight the invaders, but, like, I don't know, screw it up somehow. Just mess it up. If you hang out at the round table over here, on your turn, you can draw 2 new cards and add them to your hand, which is the main way to replenish yourself in the game. You can also fight siege engines here from Camelot by, oh, it's so terrible, taking a bunch of fight cards, like a 5 and a 1, and then what I need to do is roll under that number. Okay, alright. So, a 5 and a 1, look, a 4. I successfully beat that siege engine, but I discard these cards. And, it's not great, that's not good, that's not a great efficient use of resources, so basically I'd rather do these quests and then, like, try to win while this timer clicks down. Which usually doesn't happen that fast. So, there's a lot in this game, a lot to deal with. However, let's be honest, you wouldn't be here talking to me if you didn't want to know how to win as the traitor. Oh my gosh, this is the easiest game in the world. It is unfair for the traitor to go totally aggressive in this game. please tell your friends and family never to play this way. But this is how you play as a trader if you want to win this game as quickly as possible. Wrap it up, play another game. Step 1. I'm going to give you two possibilities here. Two. Number 1, if you start the game lucky, then what you will have in your hand is a full house. Or at least you will be able to develop one very, very quickly right here. And let me tell you, the best thing you can do is go get Lancelot's armor. Yeah. Just stand there all by yourself, win that armor, get it for yourself. Every turn, draw these 2 cards, decide the worst possible one, and discard the other one. Do it every turn. And just be like, oh, everybody, it's so terrible. I keep drawing all these bad cards. Both of them were bad. This is the better one, I swear. And you'll eventually learn, like, the 1 or 2 you should definitely not play. But that is a good way to play if... Well, actually, that's the way you should play if you want to win the game by flipping 2 swords over at the end of the game. If you want to sound effective. Once you've got Lancelot's armor, just go, like, to Excalibur, go over here to the Grail, like, just screw around for a while, and then force them to lose the game. It's fun. That is not, however, even though you have such a huge edge in that position, it's not the most efficient way to play the game. Because if you are caught, you are out. You're out of the game. You still get to keep playing, but all you get to do on your turn is take an evil action. So either reveal one of these cards, which means if I have Lancelot's armor, I get to pick from the worst ones, or add a siege engine to the board. I can't take a damage because I'm not in the game. And there, real quick, that's a very interesting thing, because that means I can win the game in 12 turns. 12 turns. By just placing a siege engine every turn. Unless someone stands here fighting those siege engines. So here we get to efficiency very, very quickly. If my goal is to win, I want to be efficient. Let's be monsters. Did you know that in this game, like many traitorous games, we don't start the game able to accuse someone as a traitor? This pioneered, well, I don't know if it pioneered it, but it's like, this game from 2005 felt like an early version to me. I'm going to say pioneer, and be willing to be wrong. You cannot accuse anyone until 6 swords have hit this table. Doesn't matter what color they are, 6 swords. You got to get halfway through the game before you can start the accusation process. So I can act, like, pretty shifty, and no one can do anything about it. Alright? I can step over to Lancelot's armor, stand on that spot all by myself, and just act like a monster. I can just be like, nah, I'm going to win the game. I'm a traitor. You can't do anything about it until this is 6 swords, which means quests have to be completed. Do I want to sabotage things? I could stand at these and force them to fail. I could just not do anything. I could just skip my turn. I could, I don't know what I could do exactly. There's a lot of options. I could play terrible cards here. I could, I have to play a straight here. These are face up. But I could play 2s and 3s here, stuff like that. I could go battle the dragon and just put 1s down, stuff like that. Okay. Oh. I love being a traitor. It's so much fun. Don't tell anyone I said that. What happens next is the best one. Because if I cannot be accused for 6 rounds, or for 6 swords, right? However long that takes to happen, this is how you win the game, and you should not let anyone play this way. Yes, I've done it. I'll say it. I mean, once. On your turn, traitor you. All you do, I don't know, play the game however you want, but during the evil phase, put down a catapult, put down a siege engine. Do it every single turn. That way, the game lasts 12 turns, unless someone decides to fight you, and if they're fighting you, they are not completing quests. Which means as these engines churn, we will fail, and black swords will end up on this table over here. Now I've got the best of both worlds. Either you stop me from dropping these siege engines, and at some point you can. You can say, like, you are banished, we accuse you, done. You're being a monster, and I'll be like, fine. I've been exposed as a traitor. Siege engine. Every single turn. Get these on the table. Because not only does it take cards to beat a siege engine, but it's not guaranteed. It's one of the few things in this game that is not guaranteed. I have to roll a die, and I might just roll 8s all the time. That was awesome. How do you... Alright. You all saw it. I didn't fake that. That's a real 8 right there. Just... Okay. If I roll an 8, I mean, you gotta beat, or you gotta get under your numbers, right? So you're trying to be really, really careful about how that works. If I have Excalibur, I'm better at fighting. If I am Sir K, I believe, I'm also better at fighting. So I can add cards after the fact, at the very least. So there are ways to get around this and be more successful at it. But again, it draws your resources away from completing the other quests. It makes the whole team worse. Plus, you're there screwing it up, right? This game is best. It is still difficult if it's got 4 players and all of them are knights, all of them are loyal, all of them are trying to win the game. It can still be difficult. If you have 7, okay, slightly different story, because then you are advancing on more tracks, and sure, these are coming down a little bit faster, but you have a better ability to like put people in the space they need to be in order to win this game. It's much more likely that you're going to be able to double people up on some of these locations. But it's very, very difficult in this game to stop a traitor that just goes for it. And this is a really, really important thing about all games in particular, right? The point of a game, game theory, is to win, period. This is one of the games that gets in the way of that, right? As a game theorist, what I want to do whenever I look at a game is I want to come up with a method to achieve victory, right? So in this game in particular, if I were loyal, I would still want Lancelot's armor because that's a major boon. I want to coordinate with my team. I want to get someone there who will get this full house and be able to take advantage of this armor as soon as possible. I don't want to have to feed cards to someone hoping that I get something good and useful in my hand that will allow me to pass cards to that person. Because if they leave, then all that good work is gone, and it's likely Lancelot's armor will be gone as well. I need one person to go fight Excalibur. I need one person to do the Grail, so just to hold it off for a little bit, just make sure that it's not like totally gone immediately. The Black Knight is not such a huge deal. Same with these 2 invasions. They only drop 1 sword. These major quests drop like 2 and 3, so I'm going to focus on them if possible. Gather cards, whatever you need. Get out, complete the quests, like, do it. That is what the loyal knights are trying to do in this game. The traitor is not at all trying to do that, and anything the traitor does to help those goals is bad for the traitor. So, in terms of efficiency, the traitor wants to be like total nonsense. Screw those plans up. Take over this combat. Waste cards. And most importantly, grab Lancelot's armor so no one else can get it. It's such a big benefit. Be the person who takes Excalibur and then never use it. Taking the Grail, well, the Grail gets used when it gets used, so that one's not as important. But in an efficiency sense, in a utility sense, right? Game theory has this, kind of strange measurement tool called utility. And I look at things based on their utility to me. And a better way to think about that is personal happiness. What brings me joy in this game, if I am a traitor, is it winning or is it losing? Well, winning, right? So I go for the thing that makes me win, and that's what I should do. And I should go for the things that help me win as efficiently as possible, because if I'm not efficient, then I'm kind of losing at the same time. So a thing that I don't want to do as the traitor is go help out over here, or help out, or help out, or help out. Maybe I'll make it to the end of the game. Maybe. But once those accusations start flying, it gets pretty tough. So, go ruthless if you don't mind losing all your friends, because that's kind of the big deal about this game. They will certainly dislike you for some time. Let me tell you. They will dislike you for some time. So, I like this game because it is an interesting way to talk about utility, to talk about winning and losing games, and to talk about the best way to do that, I suppose. The most, what does efficiency mean if you're going to lose out on your friends or something like that, right? What if they are going to forsake you forever because you played this game in a very ruthless fashion? Is that something that you want to do as a player of games? It's a harder question to answer than a whole lot of these. And yet it's a really, really important one, right? What does utility mean? Does utility mean go after it as hard as possible? Does it mean win the game at all costs? Or does it mean have a group of people who will still play games with you tomorrow, because I also want to play games tomorrow? Utility is a strange, nebulous concept. I'm just putting this game away. Sorry about the little bits of noise in the background and the shifting around. And yet it's a really, really important idea, because whenever we're playing any game, we should be focused on our utility values at any point and attempting to maximize those. Is friendship one of your utility values while you are playing this game? Doesn't have to be. I'll tell you that for free. I've played a lot of games of diplomacy. Diplomacy is an important game about betrayal, and when you are betraying people in diplomacy, they will hate you for the rest of your life. Which is why I don't play diplomacy with people I care about. Here's the deal. All of those need to be taken into consideration. You need to think about your utility when you're betraying someone. Does the betrayal in a game cost you in the real world? Don't do it. Or consider doing it a little bit softly, right? I had a friend. I say friend. I had an acquaintance, a former acquaintance. Once upon a time, we were playing Twilight Imperium, and I was playing the technology-focused librarians. I think that was it. And my friend was playing like these very brutal, aggressive, like combat monsters, and we were very close to each other. And a thing that I should have been prepared for is for that person to come and beat me up as quickly as possible. But I was like, no, this game features player elimination. No one would do that. We're all going to explore the galaxy. We're going to find more planets. We're going to build our resources and our empires together, and then see which empire wins in the end. And that person just removed me from the game in the first 20 minutes, say, something like that. And then the game went on for another 4 hours, and I was just in the other room, just hanging out. So I will never play Twilight Imperium again, and yeah, bad memories. You know, comes up. Anyway, Shadows Over Camelot, awesome game. I really, really enjoy it. I think that you should play it with all sorts of people. It's a great game to play with kids as well, because there is this like resource engine that you're trying to develop as you go, and there are these cooperations that you need to have. You need to focus on very, very specific tasks as you're playing the game. So try it out. Try it out. I think it's a ton of fun. However, they also made the Shadows of Camelot card game. Oh, my angles. What is up here? Yeah, okay. This game right here is an attempt to bring the world of the board game into a card game that fits in a tiny little box like this. It's ridiculous. The way this game works is they're trying to do the same thing. So you will certainly see loyalty cards, and we got some villains in here for sure, right? You are on the side of Mordred, as Mordred is attacking Camelot in the last days of King Arthur's reign. How does this game work? Well, this game, in order to get rid of the breadth, right, there's all these different things going on in the board game, they have decided to hand you cards like this. Look at this card. Look at it. Look carefully. Look at all the things going on. What do we got? We got a Saxon in the middle, I believe. We got big numbers, number 4. We have a little axe token at the bottom, and we have a single sword. What this card represents. Are you ready? The Saxon quest has a strength of 4. Completing the Saxon quest is worth 1 sword. Alright? So here we go. On your turn, you're going to draw, you're going to peek, you're going to draw one of these cards. Look, there's another one. Oh, there's the Picts. And a question mark comes up, and the Pict symbol, and also 1 sword. Or maybe there's going to be... Look, it's a dragon, and it's a 4, and it's 2 swords, right? There's a mysterious Excalibur. You're going to take these cards. Switch over. I don't actually need this whole space. Look at this big empty board space. I'm going to take these cards, and I'm going to, on my turn, put them into the middle. Oh, I wish I could zoom in on that. That'd be nice. That's too big. We're cutting back. Cutting back. Cutting back. We're going to take these, and we're going to stack them up in a pile. And we're going to put them in a pile like so, and we will never, ever be allowed to look at the cards beneath the card, the card on top. On my turn, I can either peek at this, or I can go on a quest. Which quest can I go on? Just the one on top. Just the one on top. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take all of these cards, I'm going to sort them into categories based on which quest they are. Looks like there were 4 Saxons and 1 dragon and just this 1 Excalibur. Here's how I win the quest. I count up the total. Like, let's say I was looking at the Saxons in particular. 4 plus 4 plus 3 is 11. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Right? If I were going on the Saxon quest, here I have a 4 for the dragon, and the question marks mean however many cards are in this stack, this is worth that many. So there is 1 Excalibur card, it is worth 1 point, or 1, is a value of 1. Based on which quest I go on, I am looking for very specific totals. So, these are the rumor cards. I'm just hearing rumors that these things are happening, and then I go check them out and see what the rumor's all about. If I go on a quest, and the total value is 10 or less, well, I'm a sucker. I went way before the quest was happening, was in trouble. It's a baseless rumor. The time and forces wasted cast a long shadow on the kingdom. Evil progresses. Take 1 sword and place it black side face up on the table. Not good. Not good. This game ends when there are either 7 white or 7 black swords. If the total value is 11, 12, or 13, so if I had been going on the Saxon quest, I would be good. Then you win. You arrive in the nick of time. You've heard enough rumors that you got there as it was happening, as the event was occurring. Place a number of white swords face up equal to, well, the number of swords right there on the thing. Easy enough. So, what happens if it's more than 13? If you get 14 or more, you didn't take it seriously, you dummies. You inflict an embarrassing defeat on yourself and your companions. Place a number of black swords face up equal to the number of swords on the card. Problem. All the other things, you count them all up as well. You're not going on those quests, but if any of them are above 14, you should have paid attention to that quest as well. That's also an embarrassing defeat. So as the game continues, as you continue stacking cards on this deck, you are doing your best to remember the totals in here. Yeah. So that you can somehow know that the Dragon Quest is good right now, and I should go in the Dragon Quest on my turn. Because if I wait a turn, well, I could... Okay, it's still a dragon. Oh, now it's a Grail, so I can't go in the Dragon Quest. I want to be really, really, really proactive about these, and I want to focus, and I want to know what numbers they're at. But it's hard to know. There's too much to keep track of. There's a ton to keep track of in this game. There are also a bunch of other cards in here as well, which will also show up. You don't play with all of them, fortunately, because there's things like Morgan. Morgan, you play with just a few of these, and this is like, hey, when you're counting up the Saxons, count both of them. This quest, if you're going on either one of these quests, the total is both of them. That's a problem. So how do you remember how much of each of those there were so that you can know what there is now, stuff like that. If you go on any of these quests at the bottom, and this could be the top card, which means you can go on any of the quests on your turn, add 2 to the total of that, which is pretty scary. Get some swords, add a sword to whatever quest you're on, doesn't matter. You only play with a few of these, and there are some variety. There's also Mordred. Mordred just loves the invaders in particular, so they will get a little bit stronger. There is Vivian, who will shift loyalty cards around. There's also Merlin, who is there to help you out. This is a great Merlin card right here. This is a helpful one, because you could add 0 if you want, so you can add whatever number you need when you do this quest, which will hopefully get you to victory. Alright, how does Betrayal show up in this game? Well, first of all, let's just talk about how this game works, because as you're playing it, it's a memory game. I played this game first with 4 players, which made it very easy. I was the person keeping track of Grails. You were the person keeping track of the Celts. Or the Picts, sorry. And as we're kind of doing this whole thing, maybe one of us has to keep track of 2 numbers, that's okay, but it's just tracking two values as they rise going in our heads. They've done a good job of trying to make that kind of nebulous, a little difficult to do, but it's not super hard. This game could have two traders rather than one. The traders win if there are 7 black swords to the table first, right? This game also comes with a bunch of swords. Not totally necessary, but they're in there. There is still the accusation phase that you can add, which will add swords to the table as well. The trader will continue to draw rumors once they're revealed, so they'll pick up 2 of those cards, and they will decide which one gets to be played, and the other one will get discarded. So this one, it's not like you are, as a trader, trying to do something super, super difficult. You are just basically misrepresenting the things you're trying to remember, trying to force people to go on quests, or maybe arguing with people and saying, like, no, it can't be 13. I think it's got to be just 10 right now, something like that. I think it was a 4, and then a 2, and then a 2, and this is another 2, so yeah, that's it. We're not ready yet. Or trying to get people to go on quests once they've got to 14, things like that. You are trying to actively mess with remembering, which makes this a really interesting game, because if you play with players with a perfect memory, you're going to have a very difficult time trying to trick them. They're going to know you're a traitor. Done. Over. But the game is hard enough. It is a bit confusing to track all the things and try to figure out exactly what is going on at any moment. So I do recommend this game. This is a cool game. It does change some interesting mechanics about the Shadows Over Camelot board game. I don't know that you need to play it a ton of times, because at some point you'll figure out how to find victory in it, how to count cards, basically. And if you, like me, are someone who have played Hearts way too many times, you already know how to count cards, and this game gets much, much, much easier at that point. Which is why they've added Advanced Mode. This game also comes with a bunch of knights, and these knight cards all do different things, and you can use them at any time you want to. So, what do we got in here? Like, we might have Percival. The Percival card says that it's all about accusations. When an accusation happens, make it much like 2 swords instead of 1. Oh my gosh, you caught a traitor. You get 2 white swords. Or, oh, you didn't catch me, I'm a traitor. Bam, 2 black swords. Pretty nightmarish. Galahad lets you peek at a player's loyalty card. You can't tell anyone what it is, but you get to peek at it. Tristan, you get to look through the rumor deck without changing the order of its cards, so you might see what's coming, find out whether you need to go on a quest sooner than later. Again, you can't tell people what you see, and you're not really allowed to tell people specifically what cards are down there. I gave an example like that earlier. That's against the rules, but it is a memory thing, so maybe I'm not telling the truth. There's a bunch of that. Arthur's is really mean. When a player goes on a quest, you force them to listen to rumors instead. That's a great one for a trader to really be like, nope, zing, take that. Because then also, that adds a new card to the top of the deck. You will probably not get to go on the quest you wanted to, even if the next person could successfully do it. So it does start to shake it all out. Very cool games, both of them. I like them a lot. This Shadows Over Camelot, the card game, is very similar to a game that was on Kickstarter recently, in a weird way, called the Shipwreck Arcana. Which is a very cool game. There it is. Oh, jeez, there's going to be no end to that glare. Sorry, why did I show a white box? It's a very cool game about mastering some numbers and figuring out what cards people have based on the clues that they are telling you. And it also has this big memory component. So if you can't find a copy of Shadows Over Camelot, the Shipwreck Arcana is very similar. It doesn't have a trader. So maybe that's all to the good. Maybe we should be moving away from these games of traders and stop letting some people be forever antagonized by their favorite people in the world. In the world, excuse me. Oh my gosh, Crow, you asked me so long ago. Is there an optimal number of players? Is it different if you are the trader? So, going back to the board game, which I hope this is what this one is about. Could be about either one. Doesn't really matter. In the board game, I think playing with 7 players is very difficult. There's just a lot to do. There's a lot that can change. And there's a lot that changes from your turn to your turn, which is a very important measure of a game, I think. So, as you are playing, you want the state of the game to not change too much. And there are a ton of games where that distinction is important. Betrayal Legacy is one of my favorite ones. I love Betrayal Legacy. We played Season 2 as a 2-player game. And I think that Rob Davio has had to come out and say, like, yeah, it's actually easier with 2 players, because from your turn to your turn, the board state hasn't gone too wild. Whereas with 4 players, if I am in, I don't know, let's say I'm in Western Europe, and something happens near me, I have the opportunity to fix it before it can happen again, which, you know, if it's a 4-player game and we're in all different parts of the world, maybe they can't fix the problem that's close to me, and so I have this new opportunity to jump in there and sort it out. So I don't recommend it with 7. I think that's too many. I just think it's too many. I think 4 is good. 4 is a solid bit, but if one player is a traitor and decides to play pretty ruthlessly, that one can be very, very difficult. Shadows Over Camelot, the card game, well, since there could be 2 traitors at any time, that makes it a little harder. So one of the best things to do is have more players. I think it goes up to, is it 5? Is it 5 players? Boop, 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 boop. Probably be on the back of the box. That's where I would put it. Doo, doo, doo. I've only played it with 3. Wow, I'm just not seeing it anywhere. I'm going to have to look that one up, it looks like. That's frustrating. Where do you put it, Days of Wonder? Anyway. In that game, what I would do is kind of focus on having a bunch of players, because then everybody has to memorize one specific number and then try to memorize a second number. And in that way, it is very difficult for the traitors, who they don't know who the other traitor is, if there even is one. They can't team up. So, you know, I can't be like, hey, I'm the traitor, I'm going to be the one who tracks all of the Saxons in this game, and then the other traitor is like the one checking that. So that one gets a little bit weirder. Having more players does make it so much easier because it is a memory game. Having 2 players is kind of wild. Well, I guess you could both be traitors then. That's weird. Maybe 3. So in that case, the game kind of becomes this much harder example of, can I wrap my brain around the entire story here? Can I memorize 3 or 4 of these numbers, as they are constantly changing? And specifically, it's those weird cards. It's not just the deck itself. Like this, fine, I can sort that out. But it's things like this Morgan card, this adding 2 to whatever quest. Well, okay, that was not too bad. This one, like trying to remember this stuff is hard. Because there's just too many numbers, and maybe I'm remembering the Saxons but not the Picts, and so I just suddenly lose track of what in the world is going on here. Oh my gosh. So it's... Thank you, Adam. I just saw that Adam posted on Twitter about my quote about trying not to tell anyone that I love being a traitor. I appreciate you and what you've done here. What else do we got here? So these 2 games, totally good. I think Shadows Over Camelot in particular is like Traitor Light. So if you are interested in trying out being a traitor, check this one out. Because it's not too bad. It's just a little bit of light lying, I suppose. It's way different than trying to learn how to be a liar in a game like Sheriff of Nottingham. That's a big jump into lying to all your friends and making them hate you. But it is a very, very good one. Other games with traitor mechanics that are pretty interesting. Of course, my favorite one, and the one I learned how to betray everyone with, Diplomacy. Don't play that game. Don't play it with your friends. It also takes 13 hours to play, so it's definitely not one anyone needs to play. Don't worry about that. But it is fun. But the biggest one, of course, is Betrayal at House on the Hill. And I would recommend this, even if I didn't have a haunt in this section. My wife Laser and I, we wrote a haunt together for Widow's Walk. It features cats. Marzipan is not one of the names that you can name a cat in that game, but there is a cat naming table. If you are the traitor, I believe, you have to name the cat in play. And that was one of the strangest and most amazing things about that particular haunt. But it's a good game because you don't know who's going to be the betrayer until the haunt happens. And it's less of a, I'm trying to lie to everybody sort of betrayal. It's much more of a, there's a horror movie about to start. One of us is going to be the monster, and we don't know who it is. So there are some things in there that do kind of lead to Betrayal, but it's not really a traitor mechanic style game. There's something else going on, and suddenly there's 2 rule sets, and I am suddenly a horror monster, and I'm about to destroy you all. Usually it was, I think it was a 50% traitor in that one for quite some time, where it would just be me. In a way, that's similar to a lot of games where a player needs to be like the role player, or sorry, the game master of the game. You were playing a game like Descent, where you are the villains and everybody else gets to be a hero. Like Hero Quest is another very similar example. Like someone has to play the monsters, otherwise the game doesn't work. But that sets us up in this adversarial, like me against all of you. It's kind of, that's the same way that Betrayal at House on the Hill is a traitor game. What other good traitor games do I have here? Takanoko? You get to be a panda. No, that's not true. That's just a panda eating bamboo. It's a wonderful game. Oh, Battlestar Galactica. That's a big one. Right. I mean, I have like Secret Hitler and a couple other games here like that. Battlestar Galactica is another good traitor game where you are trying to hide the fact from everybody that you are a Cylon. And if you successfully like mess with everybody enough, then you can win the game as a Cylon. It's ridiculous. It's so hard to do. And I'm not that good of a liar. And also, if you are lying, if you are pretending to be a human, the things you do as a human help the humans, not the Cylons. So you are hurting yourself by doing it. So if you have played the Battlestar Galactica board game and have been a Cylon and have hated it, you should play next time with the, I think it's the Pegasus expansion, which adds a Cylon base star. I don't have it. I don't have that version of the game, but it's so much fun because basically what you do is right at the start of the game, you go, screw everybody, I'm a Cylon, it's going to be fun. And then you just go over to the base star and you are just attacking humanity throughout the entire game. And for you, the game becomes, can you beat humanity up enough that they cannot make it to the end of the game? Can you actually, like, in an adversarial way, defeat them? Tons of fun. Way better than, you know, trying to secretly be a traitor. That very rarely works for me, which is one reason you will not see me very often playing a game like, you know, Secret Hitler, where I'm a monster and I'm hoping no one can see through my my terrible lying face. I'm real bad at it. I gotta be honest, I can't I can't hold it together. Jonathan asks, does Dead of Winter count as a good Betrayal game? I think that it does. I'm trying to think about that one. Another game I've played more than Dead of Winter is, Who Goes There? And Who Goes There is, when I'm thinking about them, they're very similar, but they're very distinct games. But in that game, the mechanisms that you go for are about survival, and it doesn't matter if you're the traitor or not, you have to do things to survive. And you're trying to let everybody know, excuse me, you're trying to keep everybody from knowing that you're the betrayer, and you are trying to make it to the end of the game. That's how Who Goes There works at the very least. That one, you're in the Antarctic, it's the Thing, and you are trying to be, if you are the traitor, you're trying to get onto the helicopter, because the Thing, alien, whatever, Cthulhu aliens can't fly helicopters. And so you are trying to get a human on there to fly you away, and then you are going to, on that helicopter ride, apparently be like, look everybody, I'm a monster, and then land in New York and take over. I think that's the deal. So it's a really interesting one because it's, no one starts as the traitor, someone becomes the traitor because they are like attacked by the Thing and become part of the Thing. And you're trying to hide that from everybody else, and multiple people. Once, oh my gosh, that game. If you are trapped in a room with someone who is the Thing, then they can potentially pass it on to you. And one of the ways that game can end, and often ends, is because you can't control the actions of the other traitor, right? So they might try and infect someone else, and they might try and infect someone else. And at the end of the game, you try to get to the helicopter, and no one can fly it because you're all monsters. And that's a game loss for for the Thing. So you have to do this weird balancing act to try your best to make sure a human can fly you away. Which isn't a specific answer to the Dead of Winter question. I really need to play that one again. I've only played it once. And I really can't remember, but it is the one. Like, I gave a talk at PAX Dev 3 years ago now, I think, on Betrayal games, and after it, 3 people came up to me and asked the same question: does Dead of Winter, is it a good Betrayal game or not? And I just gotta play it more. I gotta do a better job of finding out. That one I need to investigate, because it is, from all indications, a fun game. Alright, thank you everyone for being here. It is just after 12. My coffee is gone well cold, so I'm gonna drink some cold coffee. I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of my day. You know, a class is like an hour, so we're gonna put it on pause right here. I hope you will come back next week and check out some more games. I haven't decided what I want to talk about, but if you have any suggestions, feel free to tweet them at me. We'll talk all about them, and I am very excited. Thank you so much for joining me here. This has been a ton of fun, and I just want to talk about games all the time. All the time. If you are interested in listening to me talk about games all the time, you can check me out on Twitter at Armelina. You can read more of these blog posts at atomicgametheory.com. I've been doing this for a while, and I love doing it, and I'm excited to do more here on Twitch and bring more games to all of you. So I got a big collection. We'll keep going through them. Should be fun, and hopefully we'll learn some more game theory on the way. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday afternoon, and I will, I'll see you later on. See you next week. Bye.